Hi everyone. So Indy and I are here today to help you get through these slides to prepare for your quiz on phrase structure rules. We are again heading back in towards the core areas of linguistics, and we're talking about syntax. So I just wanted to share these with you to help you prepare for this quiz. So, as you know, the core areas of linguistics that we've talked about so far, we studied phonology, and we know that phonemes or sounds come together to create morphemes. Those morphemes, as you learned in morphology, are small units of meaning, right? And those come together to create words. Words then come together to create phrases, and phrases come together to create sentences. And just as a morpheme is the smallest meaningful grammatical unit of language, sentences are the largest grammatical and meaningful unit of language that we can form. So syntax looks specifically at how words combine to form those phrases and sentences, okay? So let's look at this example here, and we're asking ourselves, what is it that makes a sentence? What is a sentence, right? You have here, happy the love assignments, students linguistics there. That's not a sentence, right? Well, why not? It has all of the components that we need, right? We know that if we take these same words, we can make a meaningful sentence out of it. So everything that you need for a sentence is here, but word order is important, right? So we rely on our knowledge of the parts of speech to unscramble this mess of words in order to create a meaningful sentence. And that's exactly what we do in syntax, right? We categorize those parts of speech, and then we combine those categories into phrases and sentences. So out of that jumbled mess, we can get the sentence, the happy students love their linguistics assignment. And we know that this is a well-formed sentence, right? But what about the sentence, the happy assignments love their linguistics students? Is that a sentence too? It is actually a syntactically well-formed sentence, even though it doesn't make sense. So a sentence does not have to be meaningful in order for it to be syntactically well formed, right? So if you look at these three sentences down at the bottom here, you have the happy students love their linguistics assignments. That's syntactically, and it's syntactical and also meaningful, right? The second sentence, the happy assignments love their linguistics students, it's well formed syntactically, but it doesn't have any meaning, right? What is a happy assignment, right? How does an assignment love a student? It's inanimate, right? So that doesn't have any meaning for us. Whereas at the bottom here, we use that little asterisk at the beginning of the sentence to say that this is an ungrammatical, syntactically ill-formed, and therefore not meaningful sentence, okay? So we have studied the parts of speech. You know that every word belongs to one of these lexical categories, right? And then we put words together and we get phrases. Well, out of phrases, we can kind of categorize our types of phrases as well. So each phrase is going to have a head word. The head word is going to be kind of like the most important word, and it's going to tell you what type of phrase this is, okay? So if the head word of a phrase is a noun, then the phrase is a noun phrase, okay? And these phrases are formed by what we call phrase structure rules. Phrase structure rules determine what constituents or what kind of words go into phrases and how those things are put into order, okay? So a constituent is just a word or a group of words that work as a unit, right? And we can put these constituents together or these units together to create either phrases or sentences. And each language has its own phrase structure rules that are going to be different, okay? So we have to understand those parts of speech in order to understand these phrase structure rules. So We're going to be using these different types of phrases or sentences, and I'll walk you through what exactly this means, okay? So we're kind of looking at like formulas and what constituents or components we need to create a phrase. So if you have a noun phrase, it's going to be headed by a noun, which means that we must have a noun in a noun phrase, right? Noun phrase, we abbreviate. So noun phrase becomes NP and et cetera, et cetera. So what you see here in bold are the constituents that you need in order to have a noun phrase. And what you see in the parentheses are optional. So it may be there or it may not be there. So a determiner and a noun, that's going to be something like the boy, right? That means that we can also add in an adjective. So the little boy, right? And it might also have a prepositional phrase as a part of the noun phrase, okay? So we can put phrases inside of each other, okay? Not just single constituents or single words, but also phrases within phrases, okay? This is called recursion. So bold are the necessary components and parentheses are the optional constituents, okay? So we have prepositional phrases. A prepositional phrase consists of a preposition plus a noun phrase. A verb phrase consists of a verb, and we might also have a noun phrase, and we might also have a prepositional phrase. Or you might just have one word, like she eats, right? And that verb will stand on its own, and it will still be a verb phrase. A sentence, we have talked about, or you know that sentences include a subject and a predicate. A subject and a predicate is basically just a noun phrase and a verb phrase, okay? So you could see here the two major parts of a sentence is a noun phrase plus a verb phrase. And going back, you know that the noun phrase can have all these different things. A verb phrase can also have a noun phrase and a prepositional phrase in it. So let's look, what does that, how do we put all of these together? Why are we trying to name everything that we do or that we see in a sentence? We use syntax trees. So in this class, you're not going to be drawing syntax trees, but I do want to show you some so that you can see and understand the hierarchical order of sentences. And the best way to visualize sentence structure is by drawing what we call a syntax tree. It describes the structure of a sentence, and like I said, it shows the hierarchy that exists within a sentence. We use these phrase structure rules that you saw in that table to guide the drawing of the diagram, right? And you start up at the top with the sentence, and we work our way down through each category. So let's have a look at what a tree would look like. So here's your basic simple sentence. You have the dog ate the bone, okay? So you can see that we start up here with S. S is sentence. And that's the very top. That's the largest unit that we can get, right? So a sentence, if you refer back to that table, a sentence is created with a noun phrase or the subject and a verb phrase or the predicate. So here we have the basic constituents of a noun phrase were a determiner and a noun, okay? So we can see again, largest unit, intermediate unit, smallest unit, sentence, phrase, individual word level, okay? And the same thing here. For a verb phrase, we know that we have to have a verb. We could just say, we could leave this whole tree, this whole branch off right here, and we could just say the dog ate, and that would be a sentence on its own. You would still have the verb phrase up here with just a verb. But optionally, as we saw in the table, a verb phrase can consist of both a verb with a noun phrase, okay? So then you have ate, what did he eat? The bone. And we break down the noun phrase even further, just as we saw. We always have to have a determiner and then also a noun. The basic simple sentence, okay? So as I said, you can put phrases inside other phrases, and that's what's called recursion. This is one of the most interesting things about English syntax, right? Or the syntax of language is that we can just keep adding on the cat on the mat, in the house, on the street, right? And each of these little chunks can even be moved around, right? You could say the cat on the street, on the mat, in the house, right? And it might change the meaning a little bit, but we can move those things around. That's how you know that it's a constituent, right? That's how you know that it's a phrase, that you can kind of shuffle it around into different places. So recursion is this property of language that allows for constituents to be embedded within each other, right? So phrases can be within phrases, and that can help us to create these really, really long, stretched out sentences, okay? We use conjunctions, right? Our words like and but and so, and because, right? We use conjunctions to combine constituents of the same category. So we can combine noun phrases, right? The cat and the dog, right? Our conjunction is and then we have two noun phrases. We can combine verb phrases. So basically they just have to be two of the same type, okay? Eat and drink, right? Eat, drink, or sleep, something like that. Or we can also do sentences, right? So you can lead a horse to water, one sentence on its own, but our conjunction, you can't make it drink, a whole nother sentence on its own. When we use that conjunction, we're adding it all together to create one sentence. So I'll show you what that looks like within a tree. If we can join phrases, so this was NP plus NP, right? We have the cat and the dog. So you'll notice that that whole thing is one big noun phrase. And then we have a noun phrase plus a noun phrase. And we break those down even further, okay? Or what it looks like to have a conjoined sentence, as I said, you have, when you have a conjunction, you're combining two of the same thing. So we'll look at this second level here. You have sentence plus sentence equals one sentence, okay? So in that sentence, remember that one sentence is an NP plus a VP. And that's exactly what you have here. I bought a book, and here we're doing this triangle because that's showing, right? We knew that the NP, basic constituents of an NP are the determiner, and noun, book. So this is just a shortcut here. And then you have the same thing on the other side, an NP plus a VP, and you can conjoin those two together with a conjunction, okay? So that's the idea, that is the idea with using, let's see if I can get you out of here. That is the idea with making trees, and I want to show you what you need to know for your homework assignment. So for your homework assignment, this is a quiz where you are matching the phrase to the phrase structure rule, okay? So you're given the rule, just like you saw in those tables, you're given the rule off to the side. And in this case, it's telling you, okay, here you need both a determiner and a noun. In this one, you need an adjective, noun, and preposition, and so on and so forth. And here you've got all of your options. So you would just choose which of these phrases matches the phrase structure rule. Okay, so again, you really have to be able to identify which are the parts of speech. And please, this is tough stuff, okay? This is like grammar nerds, like this is going to be your jam. And if grammar is not your thing, this is going to be kind of tough. It can be confusing, right? So please do not just take a stab in the night, right? Or take a stab in the dark at answering these questions. Come and talk to me. I am more than happy to help you and do some examples together so that we can practice. And yeah, good luck with phrase structure rules. Thank you.